Welcome to Luthierism. We're player's grade here because we're trying to keep guitars out of museums. So this is definitely a player's grade guitar. It's a road-worn finish. And what I'm doing is I'm wiring in a humbucker single coil with a Oak Grigsby super switch. And in position 2, the north coil of the humbucker and the middle coil, single coil, are out of phase. So this is part 2. So this is a good instructional video to show you exactly how to wire everything up. And then part 3 will be exploring all the different tones you can get out of this guitar and maybe talking a little bit more about the out of phase position and how that brings an interesting tone to the guitar and how you can manipulate that with the tone control. So let's move on here. Okay, so this is the first steps in wiring up the Super Strat, and I have them in order, and the step number's right at the top. So first part of it is you have these 4 commons, and you can see they're all 0. So when you look at this, on the poles to the right go from 0 to 5 from right to left, and then the poles on the left go from 0, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 from left to right. So of all the commons, only the one indicated here is actually a ground. All the other commons are hot. So I'll show you how that goes. But this is the very first step. So just take a black ground wire, and when you're looking at the super switch in this configuration, just go ahead and solder in that ground wire. So we might as well just go ahead and prepare the capacitors, and they will be in this configuration. So the 250 k ohm pot and the 500 k ohm pot face each other, and the volume pot is towards the front of the guitar, towards the neck. And then for the 250 k ohm pot, we're soldering in that 0.047 microfarad capacitor. I'm using orange drops here. And then for the 500 k ohm, the 0.022 microfarad capacitor, and you can see how that goes. And then on the volume, the one pole is grounded. So, basically what we're doing here is we're putting in these capacitors because as you back the tone off, what you're doing here is you're bleeding the higher frequencies to ground. So it's a little bit, and I talk about this in another video that I do. It's not a treble bleed. They call a treble bleed would go on the volume. It's actually a treble bypass. And this is actually, to me, more of a treble bleed because you're actually taking the high end of the treble part as you back the tone off, and you're bleeding off the high frequencies to ground. So that's what we're doing here. So just go ahead and, solder where the black dots are and to the top of the pot in this configuration, and that's a good starting point. And if you can build a template at this point, and or even use your pick guard and go ahead and mount the potentiometers to the pick guard or a template, that'd probably be a good thing to do. And then if you just do it in this configuration, it'll work out for you. So the remaining commons, and I don't show it on this slide, but the remaining commons, all the ones that are labeled 0, are going to be hot. And that resistor is a 470 k ohm resistor, and it's going to go from the common to number 5 on the top right pole. And then we're going to have a jumper going from 0 to 0 on the bottom 2 poles. So all the commons will be hot. We have one common, which is a ground, and then the first resistor, the 470 k ohm resistor. And I show the colors there: yellow, purple, yellow, and the tolerance. And you can get that resistor key or sheet that shows you how to decipher the resistance color codes, but it's a 470 k ohm resistor. And this is step 4, just showing I'm making all of the commons hot. So that bottom lead wire goes from 0 to 0 on the 2 bottom poles. So now all the commons are hot. One common is ground, and then the resistor. So what I'm showing here is just, I'm actually wiring everything right up on the pick guard. So I have everything mounted to the pick guard, the potentiometers in that configuration that I just showed. The pickups are ready to go. The super switch is facing the two wafers and pins are facing inward. So that's how it'll work. So if you face it inward and you wire it according to the diagrams that I'm showing you, that's how it'll work for you. So here I am. I've just installed the resistor across those terminals that I just showed, and now I'm looking to put the jumper to make all of the commons hot. So eventually the hot lead from the volume pot is going to go to one of the commons, and then all the commons are going to be tied together. So the volume pot will be basically powering 3 commons. So this is step 5, and I'm kind of showing you that the commons are all tied together with a jumper, and then the hot lead from the volume, the power from the volume, is going to be tied to one of the commons, and that's where all of the the live part of the circuit will be, and then it shows the resistor. So that's where we are up to step 5. We have a ground wire, we have all the commons tied together, we have one resistor installed, and then the volume is connected in. So for step 6, just go ahead and wire in the middle lug or the middle node on the 500 k ohm tone pot to the first pin on the upper left hand side pole on the super switch. Just that one wire. That's step number 6. Okay, step 7 is a little bit more complicated, maybe a little bit harder to see, but just follow the diagram and you'll be fine. Wherever I have these little black, so on the upper left-hand side node, I have those little black dots. That means that they're all soldered together. So if you look at the common, they're all together. And if you look at the upper left node, or the upper left pole, I should say, you can see 1, 2, 3, and 4 position pins are jumpered together. So you make a little jumper and you just solder that jumper across 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the 250 k ohm tone pot is soldered to position 1. And the 500 k ohm pot is soldered to position 5. So in that little red circle there's the detail where you really have to kind of look at it and make sure you get it right. Okay, you have to pay attention to step 8 too. So step 8 is just the lower left pole. When I say pole, I'm talking about all 5 pins plus the common. So that's a pole. So there's 4 poles here. So when you look at it, everything in that red circle has a jumper. There's jumpers in there. So you have the common, which is you leave alone, and then position 1 and 2 have a jumper. You can see that. And position 4 and 5 have a jumper. So don't worry about it too much. Just make sure you put the jumpers in where they need to be. And there's a method to the madness. But if you just follow this diagram to the T, it'll work out. Okay, step 9, we're looking at the lower right-hand pole. Pole meaning all 6 of the pins, 5 pins plus the common. So the lower right-hand side pole. So we're going to put a 470 k ohm resistor on pin 4. So pin 4 is the second from the left on that pin on that pole. So pin 4, pin 3, and pin 2 are all jumpered, and the resistor is on pin 4. So there's a reason for that. I mean, because the single coils, the way the switch works, they're going to be on in different positions, so they need to be jumpered. in order to be on when they need to be on. And then the resistors are kind of in those circuits too, right? So that helps balance everything out. So if you see the common there is hot, has the jumper, and then 1 is blank, 2, 3, and 4 are jumpered with the resistor, and then 5 is blank, just to verify. So this is what it looks like so far. And I'm just looking at the diagrams, trying to figure out if everything is going right. And as we go through the diagrams, the diagrams are accurate. I mean, it's if you wire it according to the diagrams exactly how it's shown, it'll work perfectly. So, and I think what I'm doing here is I'm jumpering the commons. So I'm going from putting a little jumper wire in there to make sure all the commons are jumped together. And so all the wiring is pretty much done. And now I'm getting to the point where I am going to start wiring the pickups to the into the switch. So I'm just trying to dress the pickup wires here, neaten them up, and then we'll move on. Okay, so slide 10 is kind of a summary of what the whole circuit is going to look like. So you can see all the jumpers in place. So just to reiterate, the bottom right pole, and a pole, once again, is the common plus the 5 pins. So the bottom right pole has pins 2, 3, and 4 jumpered, and the common is live, and it has the resistor. The top upper right pole only has a ground and 1 resistor. The upper left pole only has the common is live with the resistor, and then 5, 4, 3, 2 are all jumpered, and then 1 is coming from the tone pot. And then the bottom left pole, 1 and 2 are jumpered, 3 is blank, 4 and 5 are jumpered, and then the common once again is live. And then you can see all the pickups are all grounded to the volume pot, and then there's a ground going to the output jack and a ground going to the bridge, and then the power from the volume, you could see that where it goes to the output jack. So that's everything completed right there, except the pickups, the hot leads on the pickups are not connected. All the grounds are connected, but the hot leads are not connected. Okay, now it's the same wiring diagram that I just showed you, but now it's just showing the location of the pickup hot leads. Now this is codes for Seymour Duncan, so you can see the north start from the bridge humbucker, which is the black one at the bottom, goes to pin 1. Hot from the neck goes to 4. Hot from the middle pickup goes to 2. You can see it there. So 2 hot from the middle pickup would be the lower right pole. I should have numbered the poles, but I'm going by lower right pole. And then to split the coils on the humbucker, you twist the yellow and the red together. So the north and south finish from the bridge humbucker would go to 2 on the upper right pole. So that's what it looks like. I mean, as long as you wire it like that, it's going to work. And being able to figure out how everything works with the jumpers, it's doable. You could figure it out. It's just, it takes a little bit of practice and looking at it to see how each circuit, when it becomes activated, and how the jumpers interact. The humbucker, the north pole of the humbucker and the center single coil, the center single coil, the single in the neck, and then the neck. It all works out. Just having to think about how the current flows through the circuit as you go through, and how the jumpers direct that current. There's different ways to do this. This is just one way to do it. So there might be some videos in the future. I'm thinking about a video too. If I did all 500 k ohm pots and eliminated the resistors, that's another way to do it. But this sounds really good. I mean, I've been playing the guitar for a while now, and it sounds really good. And like I said again, to reiterate, I really like the out of phase position and what you can do with that. But this is what it would look like. Now remember, all the grounds from all the pickups are going to the volume pot. And the volume pot is going to the ground on that one common terminal right there, the upper right pole. And then everything else is a hot terminal. So, and all the jumpers are illustrated here. So as long as you do a really nice job at soldering and put all the jumpers in the right positions, you should have no problem. So this is the treble bleed circuit that I put in, and unfortunately I put in treble bleed for the volume pot. And in another video that I do, I explain that the term bleed is not effective. When you're using a tone pot and you're turning the tone down, you're actually bleeding off the treble to ground. You're erasing some of the treble off of the tone. But on a volume pot, you're not bleeding the treble, you're retaining the treble. So you're actually bypassing the treble. So as you turn the volume down, you start to lose some of the high end. And I explained that in my other video. But instead of that happening, if you put the capacitor in parallel, then the treble bypasses the high end, bypasses the potentiometer and stays in the circuit. So it's actually a treble pass, not even bypass, treble pass. You're passing the treble back into the circuit. You're not bleeding it to ground. So treble bleed, I think, would make more sense when you're talking about a tone pot, but treble pass makes more sense when you're talking about a volume pot. So what I'm trying to do here is, as you turn the volume down, you're retaining the high end. You're not losing the treble as you get. See, when on a regular, without the treble pass, as you turn the volume down, you change the dynamics of the circuit and you cut off the high end, and it starts to sound muddy and dark. Where if you put the treble pass circuit in, then you are letting the treble pass by the resistor or the volume pot, which is just a big resistor, and you're letting it pass and go right back into the circuit. So now when you turn the volume down, you still have the high end there. So that's what we're doing here. So I'm not going to belabor this too much because I do cover this in another video. It's the first video in this series actually, but it kind of going back over the 5 positions on the super switch. So switch position 1 shows you the full humbucker that's live and how the wiring works. The next one shows the north start and the middle single coil and how it's wired in and how it works. And the first video kind of goes into a little bit more detail on how this works, but this is what the switch position looks like. And this is the out of phase position. So that's kind of how that works. Position 3 is just the single coil and where the single coil connects into the super switch. Position 4 is the middle and the neck together. And then position 5 is just the neck. So it kind of shows you where everything goes. So now we're just going to go ahead and test and make sure everything's live and in the proper way through all the positions. Okay, so we have the pick guard all wired up. Here's what it looks like. Tried to neaten it up as much as possible. Treble bleed circuit, capacitors, super switch, humbucker, single. So now we're in the first position all the way back. So it should be just humbucker. So we have humbucker, nothing here. Second position, it should be coil split on the humbucker and then the middle. The third position should just be middle. Nothing else. Fourth position should be the 2 singles. And then the 5th position should just be the neck pickup. So everything's working as it should. So next thing to do is to go ahead and get it back into the guitar. So thanks for watching, everyone. Part 3 of this 3-part video is just going to be the demo. So I'm going to kind of show you how the different pickup positions sound. Especially interested to show you how the out of phase position works. And what I found about the out of phase position is that if you really vary the tone pot on the out of phase position, you can go from really tinny and hollow sounding almost to like a warm sound with just a movement of the tone pot. And then everything else, of course, doesn't sound out of phase. Everything else is in phase. That's the only position 2. But it's a really interesting little feature. And there's a lot of different tonal qualities that you can get out of that. So that'll be the next one coming up. So thanks for watching again.